We'll get started. First question, Mark Berman.
Hey, Stephen. Can you tell us if number one, if Christian practiced today, and what is his status going forward?
Yeah, so Christian practiced today. He made it through everything today. His conditioning could be better for sure, and that's the next hurdle to approach, because obviously we don't want him to be out there and not be in shape enough to make it through the rigors of the game. So yeah, his timetable is kind of still as is, maybe a week, maybe a little bit less, but he's moving in the right directions. He did not have many limitations besides his conditioning today.
Adam Spolin.
Do you have a plan for how you'll use Victor and John for this first back-to-back?
Yeah, so John, I think John's going to play both, and we're still kind of talking to Victor as far as what his availability will be. I'm anticipating him playing tomorrow and then reading the Utah game, but most likely tomorrow he'll play, and then Utah may or may not.
Brian Bearfield.
Coach, were you able to get some family time in during the All-Star break, and were you able to, get yourself rejuvenated to come back for the second half of the season?
Yeah, I did. Probably not as much as I should have, was supposed to, or whatever. I watched a ton of film, and I was looking at a bunch of numbers and stuff, trying to make sure that I was on top of things coming into this practice, because we have this game, we have this practice, and we have a back-to-back, and then we have a day off, and then we have a game, then we have a day off, then we have a back-to-back. So making sure I was on top of things over the break was the priority. But yeah, I did spend some time with the family. I actually flew to Charlotte for a day and got a chance to see my parents, and that was amazing. And, you forget about, during all this COVID stuff, especially seniors who are just kind of homebound. My parents haven't gone anywhere in over a year, and I haven't seen them. So it's like the kids who are doing virtual school and not having socialization, but also the older people who are kind of going through the same thing. And it's not really great for anybody, but it was great to see them.
Christos Saltis.
Hello, Coach. What different do you expect to see tomorrow, and what would you like to improve as a team to the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think an improvement would be getting healthy and getting our whole group on the floor. Today in practice, it was good to have most everybody out there, and obviously we still have some injuries. House is out, and Nwaba's out, and Eric Gordon's a questionable, and Christian's still out. But today in practice, it was good to see those guys play together, and you forget how important guys are to our group, and most of all, like the continuity and the chemistry between our starting group, mainly John, Victor, and Christian. Those three guys playing together and building chemistry amongst those guys. So moving forward, we want to obviously keep improving, but I would love to see just a healthy group out there fighting and pulling in the same direction.
Jonathan Fagan.
Just looking at the short term then, with 4 regulars, I guess, out, how do things turn around when tomorrow, maybe the next night, next week, you still don't have so many key rotation guys?
Yeah, it's going to be hard. This is what we've been dealing with all season, and our approach doesn't change. It's really focusing on the controllables. It's really coming up with game plans that make sense. It's guys stepping up who need to step up and haven't had necessarily the opportunity to do so. Kevin Porter Jr.'s here and he practiced today, and KJ Martin is back, and we're just kind of piecing it together day by day until we get our guys back. But as far as tomorrow is concerned, we're going in guns blazing, ready to win a game, and doing whatever it takes to do so.
Is there something more specific that you would point to in terms of performance that you feel can be improved upon right away?
Yeah, I mean, today there were a few things. Our pick and roll defense, and that was a lot of what I watched over the break. Our pick and roll defense, especially our switching, our drops have actually been pretty good, but our switching hasn't been great. So we went over like the details of that and the technical part of that, and hopefully that'll carry over from the practice to the game. And then our offensive execution, making sure the ball is getting moved just a little bit more. The last few games, I felt like we got a little bit stagnant, and it wasn't necessarily, anybody's fault or anything, but I do think it can be easier for our guys to attack if we move the ball a little bit more and use screens and, allow the defense to make some mistakes as opposed to kind of just standing and watching us. So those are the two kind of main areas that we looked at today that I look for improvement going forward.
Thank you.
Mark Berman.
Stephen, do you have an update on David Nwaba, and where is KJ Martin stand right now with his ankle situation?
Yeah, so KJ's good. He practiced and didn't miss a beat today. Made some very athletic plays in practice, which was good to see. And then David, he's still, his wrist is still giving him pain. It's been like maybe 11 days, and he hasn't seen very much improvement. We're still hopeful that there's something that can heal quicker, or he'll feel better or something. If not, he will have to get the surgery, but we're exhausting every avenue until that decision needs to be made.
Adam Spolin.
Stephen, the team that you're coaching today is so different from the team that you inherited. Just how much time did you spend over the break just kind of looking at what has worked with this new group and what hasn't worked?
Yeah, it was actually kind of hard because there are like so many different sections of the season, right? So there was the when James was here part, and then there was the Christian Wood was in the lineup part, and then there's the Christian Wood was out of the lineup part. And along the way, with guys not playing back-to-backs, with injuries, with like so many inconsistencies, it was really hard to like get I don't know, find a pattern, just because there's like we play differently when James is on the floor, right? And then when Christian's on the floor, it's a completely different game than when he's not. So kind of evaluating what's good and what's bad was more like just based on the last part of the season, and really making sure that we're on top of those parts as opposed to like the whole, because I feel like we really haven't had a whole healthy group except for that one stretch. And even the 7 or 6 game winning streak that we had, Christian was out for the first 3 of those. Cuz was starting. So really just hasn't been very much continuity. So the evaluation process was a little bit choppy, to say the least, to answer your question.
Have you ever experienced this where you're halfway through the season and you really are finding it difficult to evaluate what you have at this point?
Yeah, no, I've never had this before. Never. I mean, there's just a lot to it. So you do your evaluation in a bunch of different ways. It's not just by the games, but in practice and in shoot-arounds and all of the things that you can do to bring a team together, even off court stuff like dinners and meetings and that sort of thing. So I have not had the luxury, just like most teams in the NBA, to have practices and to have like active shoot arounds and to do things off the floor as a group to where they can come together. And it's been difficult.
We'll take 3 more. Brian Bearfield.
Coach, given the difficulty of the second half schedule, is it good to have some young, fresh legs? And then you got 2 20-year-olds and Kevin Porter and Kenya Martin, and then you have 2 25-year-olds and Christian Wood and Jay Sean Tate who play like 20-year-olds. So is it going to, on the back end of the schedule, will it be good to have some of those fresh, young, energetic legs in there?
Yeah, it will. It will. That's a good point. It will be good to have those fresh legs, those active bodies, those guys who are trying to make a mark in this league. And, it is a tough schedule. We have 10 back-to-backs and we have a lot going on, but I still believe when we're whole and we have our full complement of players, I feel really good about this team. I just do. I just have a optimism about this group that is really good. So, to have those young guys coming in and getting a chance to contribute will help us. Will give us some, force up the floor. Will give us some versatility. Will give us a bunch.
Ben DeBose.
Coach, a couple of quick questions with your young guys. First, Kevin, it's his first practice with you guys since being back. Generally speaking, how did he look? And also Anthony Lamb, what are your first impressions there?
Yeah, so KP was good. He played the point. He pushed the ball up the floor in our scrimmage. He makes plays for others. But it's a developmental thing. It's not – the game isn't going to be as easy as it came to him in the G League, but I think he is prepared over time to really excel. And he has a lot of different tools that we will explore and use, and he's going to be good for us. There's a lot of detail work that needs to be done on the defensive end especially, but he's a willing learner. He's a listener. He's been really enjoyable, like a great kid, just enjoyable to be around. So to have that fresh face in the group is exciting for me. For Anthony, he did a good job in practice today. He's super smart, picked everything up really quickly. I sent him some clips last night. I sent both guys some video last night to their phones, and he asked questions and that sort of thing. And he's undersized, but he's athletic, and I'm not sure if he'll be in the playing group initially, but he has an opportunity to show us what he can do, and we're going to do whatever it takes to have it be a positive situation for him. So he's a good addition because another young, live body, but also super, super smart and can play multiple positions. I like that.
And last question, Kaylee Griffin.
Hey, Coach, kind of going off of those questions in terms of the G League, I know you were paying attention to what they were doing down there. How much did you actually get to watch of those G League games, and how beneficial have you felt it's been with them learning the system that you already have in place here in Houston while in the bubble? And by any chance, what went into the decision to take KJ and Kevin Porter out before the playoffs?
Yeah, so I watched a ton of games. Rafael was like, you have to watch games. He's like, you have to watch these games over the break. So I watched, I think I watched a total of 9 games over the span and maybe 4 or 5 over the break. And first of all, Mahmoud did a great job with those guys, and they really kind of got it together towards the end. They were struggling at first, and then they went on this winning streak, and it was very much attached to what Mahmoud was doing, but also how KP was kind of running the show, and Anthony was contributing from the top of the floor, and KJ, who got hurt, he came back towards the end. But those guys were just playing I mean, really, really well. And it was good to see like the things that we talk about with our system paying off in their system. So it's for them coming here to practice today was great. They fit right in. There weren't too many hiccups as far as play calls and concepts and that sort of thing. It was more just like the speed of the game and some of the terminology is a little bit different, but to have that structure in place in the G League really, really is helpful for me as the head coach, but also for those guys coming in because it's not completely foreign for them.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
We appreciate it.